Okay, it says we're live. It says you are live. So I'm alive, you're alive, we're all alive. I'm glad we're all here. Welcome to another episode of We Deliver Houston, talking about businesses that serve the public here in Houston, that are open, that are doing things, and to introduce you to businesses and what they do so you know a little bit about them. Today we have uh, an acquaintance, a friend of mine from my field of study, which is the senior care industry and things of that nature. Miss Kim Tweedel, and she's with the Advocates for Independence. Let me bring Kim on. Hi, Kim. How are you doing?
I'm good, Doc Vetter. I'm really good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm very glad that you're here. Uh, I appreciate you coming on. I was excited about bringing you on because most the general public out there, people that aren't in the field that we're in or know the field that we're in, they wind up doing. They only know a few things. They know their primary care doctor. They know hospitals. They don't understand anything else about the continuum of care. They don't understand LTACs or what you do or other SNFs or any
Hmm.
of those things. They know the primary care doctor. They know hospital, and they know nursing home. That's all they know.
Hmm.
Uh, so there's so much more to the whole continuum of care and uh, hospital at home, what they call home health, companion care, what you do and stuff like that. So I'm going to ask you some questions about that later on. But first, I want to ask about how you and your family's doing,
We
and that cool son of yours. So
Yeah, well, I'm doing good. I'm actually doing really well, and my son is doing excellent. He's in DC doing what he wants to do, and just got a new dog, and he's just bought a condo, so he can't be any better. I'm really happy for him. That's what he wants to do.
and you said he went up there and went to work for the State Department, huh?
Yes, yes, yes. That's what he's
Cool.
doing.
Cool. Well, he's up there trying to make a difference, and he's all. Every time I've talked to him, he's been really level-headed and smart, and um, he when he was helping you, he was, he was learning something that he didn't know anything about, and he picked it up very quick
Oh yeah,
and
he did an excellent
got out
job.
there. And,
I wish I could have got him to stay, but it just wasn't his passion. This is mine. He had to go off and do his own thing, which I respect that. Um,
I understand that, and I agree with you. So,
yeah.
Kim,
Yeah.
explain what Advocates for Independence, what your core vision, what you do, why you do it, why it's even needed.
Well, we consider home care a caregiving agency. We have caregivers that go out to help people with activities of daily living. And one of the reasons I got into this, it's been several years now, but my grandmother she was 92, was driving, and she fell and damaged her one good eye. And when she did that, she just went downhill. I mean, and long story short, she ended up in the hospital. Then they put her into a rehab. Well, it wasn't even a rehab at the time. It was just a nursing home. They were doing no rehab. I'd find her naked on the floor every morning. I'd go in to check on her. It was just awful. And all she kept saying is, "I want to go home. I want to go home." And I got on the internet at the time trying to find something. I didn't really know about home care at the time, and I finally found a lady in Pasadena. They sent out a couple of women who didn't know they were no training whatsoever. Anyway, it just ended up being kind of a nightmare. And my background, I'm a respiratory therapist. I used to take care of ventilator patients at home. I ran a durable medical equipment company several years ago. So I decided to open up the agency just because it was, it was something I was familiar with and I had the background. So what we do is, we go in there and help people that can to live safely at home or wherever their residence is, to keep them out of nursing homes, so they can live safely in their homes. If you think about what you do every morning, you get yourself up, you go brush your teeth, you take a shower, you fix your breakfast. Um, as you age, sometimes those things are not easily done. So a caregiver can come in and help you get your day started, help you do with your shopping, just things that a lot of people take for granted. And when at age and you start aging and having multiple issues, you cannot do that for yourself. So we can do that on an hourly basis. We go in for a few hours a day to 24/7. It just depends on what somebody needs. Does that kind of answer your question about what we
Yes,
do?
ma'am. One other thing, would you explain the difference between what I call hospital at home or home health and home care? What's the difference between the two so that people understand? Because, as I said, people don't understand the
The
continuum
difference.
and how the difference of what is available to them. And
Uh-huh.
it's tough for someone going into the hospital to understand, be bombarded with all this new information and where to go and who can help them. And I think one of the nice things about what we're doing today is we're going to be able to educate some of the people that aren't in the medical industry, that aren't in the thing to know that stuff. So
Yeah.
would you explain the difference?
Okay. Yes, there is. When somebody goes in the hospital, especially somebody that breaks a hip or has any type of issues, a lot of times they send them to what they call a SNF, a skilled nursing facility, to rehab. And from that rehab, a lot of times they go home and they order, or even just being discharged from the hospital, they'll order home health, which is home health skilled. That's a nursing, an RN agency with skilled stuff like physical therapy and occupational therapy and sometimes speech. That's paid by Medicare, and that's usually ordered for a month or so. The rules have changed on a lot of that, so I'm not going to speak a whole lot as to how long they'll be there. But what we do, we're not paid by Medicare. We're considered by Medicare as custodial help. So Medicare is not paying for that. So it is private pay. Long-term care insurance does pay for it if you happen to have that. But the nursing service will send sometimes an aide out to bathe. The nurse comes in, they'll send occupational therapy and physical therapy. We work in conjunction with them, and the caregivers can come in daily or whatever the patient needs, or however we set up a service plan, and that's determined, that we determine when we go in from the service plan. But from the hospital, sometimes I do send people to another facility, and from there to the skilled. But what's confusing, I think, for a lot of people is sometimes they just say home health, and people get confused with the skilled home health versus the home care, because the state of Texas calls us home health with a personal assistance service license. And the home health that Medicare pays for it is home health with a skilled license. One of the things a lot happens when they're in the hospital, they hand them a list and say, pick one. Here's the problem. People don't know. They don't know because they've never dealt with this. They don't know what the differences are. And sometimes even the case manager, I think, gets confused as to what home health and home care do. But
I have to agree with you, having been in the industry. Um, I knew you before you opened your agency, and then after you opened your agency. So it's been a few years that we've
well,
known each
we're
other.
just 10 years. We're just finishing 10 years now. So I've known you for a while.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I forget about the past. I mean, when I think about how long I've known somebody or done anything, it's always a surprise because I never focus on the past. It's always the present and where we're
Yeah.
going. Okay, but
Well, time
uh,
goes by fast. It
yeah,
goes really fast.
yeah, and that's why I was really excited about having you on to talk about what you do and maybe explain, because this series, the We Deliver Houston series, is just about different businesses. And I've had the opportunity and the pleasure so far of interviewing a lot of different businesses, some I didn't even know, and didn't even know about. you know,
Mhm.
and I thought this is a perfect opportunity to let business owners and the general public know about how the healthcare continuum operates. And I thought, well, good, I'll get Kim to talk about that.
Yeah.
And so let's go. How are you with all this, what I call this weirdness going on, uh, the lockdown and stuff like that? How is it affecting? Let's talk about how it's affecting the home care business before and since it's happened. What's
Well,
because I know you're. Go ahead.
well, you know, we we've actually revamped how we're doing things. I've limited the amount of people in the office, and several of us are working from home. We are still going in seeing clients. We did have some clients who had small hours that were kind of worried about the caregivers coming in, and then we have some that the families are not working and that just kind of took over the care. But we're still, we're still operating. We've been able to secure the personal protective equipment, so caregivers are able to go in and take care. And we will take the COVID-19 clients on a one-to-one basis. As far as we definitely have to really screen what we're taking, but we're able to set up to do that. One of the big differences is we can't get out in the public and market like we were doing before. That's a I'm sorry, my lighting is probably pretty bad here. The We can't get out and market, and it's that's probably that's a difficult, but we're not the only ones. Everybody is in the same boat. All the places are on lockdown, so you can't go in and visit people and give information. But we've stayed in contact with a lot of people by phone, email, text, and that type of thing, and letting them know that we're still here, available and able to. And we're continuing to hire. We're continuing to hire. We are still doing interviews. We do those remotely on Zoom or FaceTime. And then for the training and orientation, we only bring 2 people in at a time, and we have them spread out in our training room. So nobody's close. And we wipe down everything in the office and before and after. It's a different way of doing business, but we're doing what we have to do to keep going.
I appreciate that. I appreciate your time. Thank you. If we get any comments from anybody or questions in the comment section, we'll put those up and let people see them. But I just wanted to. So you're still taking on patients.
Correct.
If
Yeah.
people, if there's individuals out there whose elderly, senior, do you also do children, kids?
We don't really do children, but we'll take, probably 18. We have in the past done a few small, mostly, they're not really small, but, maybe teenage up. But as far as infants and stuff, we're not doing the small children, just
Okay. So, and so
any
just
any type of disabilities. You don't have to be elderly to use our service. It's just the majority of our clients, I would say, are at least 75 and up. But we do have a few. We've had as young as 16, I believe.
okay. So you basically come in and help them at home.
Correct. Yeah.
So I mean,
And then,
I remember when I had the when put the rod in my leg, okay, and I wound up being
uh-huh.
homebound for a while. So I was already on lockdown before the lockdown happened. Uh, but the home health came in and the companions came in, and you know, and of course me being stubborn, I want to do everything. I want to be treated like like I'm not disabled and all that sort of stuff. So I'm pushing everything so um, to get better quicker, and I actually did that. So uh,
Well,
that's
that
you.
brings up a point. A lot of people want to be independent, And this is what I try to tell them, they fight their kids about having somebody come in and help. The reason we have the name we do is called Advocates for the Independent is the fact that we're trying to help people stay independent. And by getting a little bit of help every day, you're going to stay independent. You're going to keep
Right.
from breaking a hip, or you're going to, something major happening. And that's, what we're trying to do is help people stay independent, because I totally understand. I'm going to be, when I'm in that age, I'm not going to want people to come in either. But, once they accept a little bit of help, they really understand that they can stay independent and do the things
Well,
they said to do.
well, one of the nice things that you do is you take a lot of pressure off of the kids who are trying to earn
Yeah.
a living, okay, and the things that they would normally have to do and take time out of their job and stuff like that to do for their mom and dad or their loved one. You take care, you do those sort of things and free up their time to do other things. And that's
Yes.
that's very nice. It's very, very wonderful. So, Kim, I wanted to thank you for your time. Um,
Having me.
and we'll get this out a lot of places on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. We'll do a lot of stuff to get as much, because you're not, and that's another reason we're doing this is because you don't have the opportunity now to go out and market. So this
Yeah.
is a form of marketing where we can hopefully get the word out, because every business wants to get their story out, and
Yes.
that's what we're working on doing, is getting the story out.
Yeah.
So, Kim, I want to thank you for coming on today. Everyone, I thank you for joining us. And we get a lot more people watching this after the live stream. Okay. And I always ask, if you're watching on Facebook, start a watch party so that the other people in your team, or your people that are your friends, can learn about these businesses and what they're doing and what's available to them. Because as I said, in Kim's case, what we would call the general public, they don't have a clue that this type of service is available. And like you said, when they wind up in the hospital, they get this list and they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So this would be helpful for them in those ways. So thank you today, and Kim, thank you for your time. I appreciate you sharing with us what's going on and educating us on the continuum of care that's available for people once they go in the hospital. So I'm going to go ahead and click to end the broadcast now. So I want to thank everyone for joining us, and